everybody, welcome to this video here on G4G on YouTube. Today's background soundtrack is brought to you by the I Am Setsuna soundtrack. It's a game that I recently uploaded a video on YouTube of the first 30 minutes of it. If you are a fan of classic 8 and 16-bit JRPGs like Chrono Trigger and the Final Fantasy series, I absolutely recommend you give the game a try. I may do a review on it at some point, as there are some things I think the public should be aware of when it comes to the game. But check out the first 30 minutes of it and see what you think about it. I have been streaming it a little bit late at night. So for this video, we are taking a look at a team called Team Angry Shields. This is a team that is designed to be run on PvP offense, although they may possibly get it done on defense. I think it's a little too complicated. Don't risk it. So I was doing today's daily mission, which is a blaster only mission. And I brought in, Rocket was there by default. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring Invisible Woman. Air pressure, handy. I abuse her in the blaster sim for that. I was like, I'll even bring in Angrier. Angrier's got some punch. If we get into trouble, he's got a heal. And, you know, he has the purge for the tacticians. So happy Playdom did not stick us with fucking symbiotes on Blaster Daily. Lash on Blaster Daily is the biggest amount of trolling Playdom has done anybody. Forget nerfing Hafe, and to the point where he watches his testicles float off into the distance, crying at being half the man he used to be. Forget about what they've done to the toxic suit and purged and possessed and all that kind of stuff. Nothing is more trolly than Lash on Blaster Daily, because fuck that bitch. Anyway, it made me think of a decent team. Once I started looking at the abilities that I was using, I was like, oh, this is this, and this is that, and ooh, I bet, ooh, I really bet, ooh, wow. So, I just kind of did a George Takei, oh my, when I thought about this. So we're going to use Kurth as the setup over here. Did I put Angrier on a jet? I might have put Angrier on a goddamn alphabetical order. Crappity ass. Frickin' dang it. I put Angrier on a jet because of alphabetical order. And I'm planning on sleeping after this, so they were long jets. Okay. And Angrier on set, take 2. Sorry, Howard. You're cool, but we don't need your brand of cool right now. Okay. So pretend my agent is running the toxic suit. And I'm going to show you couple pieces of very key gear over here. The experiment. Get this. It's in the store. Anybody can get it. The experiment is rather key. A magic debuffer such as the lantern, the twisted gift. Pretty key. You may also want to get the signpost. I would really recommend the signpost for this. Ignore the Brawn Mason, the Blade, and the Shepherd Staff for now. Although the Shepherd Staff is actually pretty good. But get the experiment. Get your signpost. That's what you need for the agent. Invisible Woman. She's running air pressure. Debatable whether or not you want to go Blaster or Infiltrator. Obviously, Infiltrator is going to give you free attacks. Blaster is going to be better against bruisers, but if she's 15, it doesn't matter. You activate the class bonus anyway. Air pressure, I would say pretty key. If you go Infiltrator, do understand she may get targeted by Cloak and Dagger. She may get targeted by Spitfire, and she has no protection because she has no intangible. However, her invisibility procs a lot. And she does get a little bit of a shield that may help her live through a Spitfire burst. Force Spears and Force Volley. They are both ranged, so you don't have a lot of choices. Bursting and Locked On is the way to go. Or pander to her deadly crits and give her increased chance to crit. Either way, it's up to you. One of the members of the From the Hell Carrier cast on Tuesdays on Twitch, check him out, said he's having a real lot of problem with shields this season. Probably the psychic shield from the set and the shield from the lamp. You may want to put AoE shield burst here and then locked on here, or locked on here so that her force spheres does more damage and then apply the bursting as single target. Or forgo all of that and just increase her chance to crit, which really jacks up Invisible Woman's damage. She can pull damage out of the pockets on this little Future Foundation suit like you would not believe. Force field, there is only one way to go for this. Gracious. Don't pretend everything else doesn't exist. Gracious, 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 gracious. For her force cage, this is where things are going to get fun. Give her either burdening or leeching. Do not do any of the others. You don't want to increase the cooldown. This is up every round, okay? Burdening or leeching, whichever way you want to go. Both of them assault stamina in their own way. Leeching does it automatically. Burdening applies straining, which can be removed. But, you know, you pick your poison on that. Angrier. Let's talk about him. Again, go Infiltrator, go Blaster. Blaster gives you phase frequencies. Infiltrator, of course, gives you the covert ISO, which means he may spread Soulbreaker around. Please be aware, if you go Infiltrator and you counter a Bruiser or somebody with Scutum, basically only a Bruiser, you will counter with a draining ability, which you might not want. If he's Blaster, he's not going to counter. And he can use phase frequencies, which is good. So, melee and fire. Here is what you could do here. I have him with pulverizing when he used to be with like Luke and part of a different version of Team Suicide from the past. Mauling is phenomenal because it sets up flanked, and that's just extra damage if you can exploit it later. Knocking would be good if you go the Infiltrator route because you may get a free stun on somebody, and then that's pretty much it. You can go with one of the fire ones, but yeah, that's about it. His big thing that we need to look at is the Skittering Soul. That's his second biggest thing that we're going to do here. Again, gracious, 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 gracious. In case you haven't figured it out now, I'm trying to give you a team that counters being drained by giving you two very solid abilities to put Gracious on to give you your stamina back. So, that's what I'm doing for you here, but there's more to come, so stay tuned, everybody. Here, on his summons, if you are patient enough to wait until the Warding Essence is down or the Mystic Shroud is down, use the Succubus Dominatrix with either Leeching or Burdening. This is a debuff, so you can use any one of the debuff abilities here. Again, we're assaulting stamina, so we're doing it off of the Force Cage. Now we're doing it off of an AoE summons. He has other summons, so that's a melee summon, so you could do Mauling here. This is an energy summons, so you could do any of the energy ones, including the Hybrid Psychic. But right now, as of the end of July and the filming of this video, draining is a big thing. This caters to that. Do Burdening, do Leeching. Over here, finally, his level 9. You could go with Blessing. You could go with Gracious if you wanted complete overkill on Stamina Restore. And some of you are upset with the Drain meta enough that you may be like, yeah, 3 Graciouses? Pfft, Absolutely. I'm tired of just sitting here fapping while my team can't do a damn thing. You can also use Rising, and you can also use the Combat Reflexes one, Aware. So, let's see this team in action against a fake PvP Kurth. Now, there is no stamina because this is PvE, but you'll get the idea. So, first thing I'm going to do is apply Bane to her. And then I'm going to go ahead and give myself Cloaked and Lost Souls. Because it's not just Kurth we're dealing with in PvP, it's others. Invisible Woman is going to Force Cage her. We know what she's going to do anyway. It's going to be Fear Me. I'm going to use the Experiment. And then I'm going to hit her with Magic. Because she's Baned. So now she's behind this wall. And she's just taking damage. So she opens up with a Love Me. Interestingly enough. But air pressure's in effect. So all of it except for the rune was negated. Plus psychic warding. So she is now behind this wall. Angrir can't do anything to her right now. Because she's behind the wall. Nothing I can do is going to affect her. As you can see. If this was PvP, I Force Cage her again. I'm chunking her stamina because of the ISO equipped on the Force Cage. And she's just ticking down under the effects of the magic. And this won't do anything, but this will give me crease speed. So if I had a signpost, I would be draining her right now. So she's resorting to Love Me spam. Because there's nothing else she can do. Now, that's not great. But because of the experiment, it's likely going to get pushed off. Plus, I can also do that. Force Cage her again. Draining her stamina even more. Air pressuring. Experiment. So as you can see, she's still threatening because she's spamming Love Me, which could be bad. But she can't explode any of the runes. So what good is her runes if she can't explode them? So now what we're going to do is we're just going to let her out of the cage because we need to kill her now. Experiment's over. You get the point. Well, that's shitty. Look at that. Deep Thought, drained stamina, and she missed because of the Cloaked and Lost Souls. So even though she's been spamming runes from behind the wall over there, completely ineffectual. Plus I'm stealthy, so she has no chance of countering it. So what I'm going to do here is hopefully this will just get rid of her. Close. That's the rune in effect over there. And that's it. So you can see what happens to Kurth if she's kept behind the wall. She probably would not be able to spam Fear Me because every time she gets Force Caged, Invisible Woman has an ISO attached. And you will drain her stamina. So let's look at Null as an example. Now, this cage is not a PvP cage. This cage is relentless. So this cage ain't going to get caged by this one. Bear that in mind. The PvP version of Null can be Force Caged. But watch what happens. We're going to slow this down because you need to see this. Unfortunately, We have bad turn order. Cloaked and Lost Souls won't be up, but I'll put up the experiment. And I'll drop some magic on him. Watch what Null does here when he squats. Deep Thought on all of us. Bang. 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 He got hit with 3 Deep Thoughts because that's a debuff now. And all of this, Deep Thought, Deep Thought, Deep Thought. If Skittering Soul was up, that much more. That would cause a drain if it was using Scudam because it's melee. And now we're going to go ahead and Skittering Souls. And we're going to force cage him. Now, it's not going to keep him in the cage because this version is relentless, but that's okay. Applying that debuff would be draining him. It's funny, I suffer the negative effects of caging him, but he doesn't. See? Skittering Soul and Dark. Bang. There it is. He's losing so much stamina, his grandkids are lying on the floor like boneless blobs. There is no stamina in his family for 12 generations after that. Deep Thought's crushing him, and Skittering Soul is crushing him. So never mind the fact that he's walking past the cage over here because of the Relentless. In PvP, he would have no stamina to do a thing. Once I hit him with this, again, I'd be draining his stamina through the debuff. So Null and Kurth, I mean, they're so much a part of the meta. You can see just how much we can control them in this kind of setup. And hey, there's nothing stopping your agent from running a Force Cage ring too. I don't know if that one's tagged as debuff or not, but you could keep 2 people locked down if you wanted to. Spitfire wouldn't be able to do anything. Star-Lord wouldn't be able to do anything. I mean, look at that. World Breaker is just... yeah. You're not worthy is screwing him. Now, granted, PvP Null tends to have an ISO equipped on the You're Not Worthy, which massively increases the cooldown. But everything else you do is going to give him a whole lot of problems. And the last thing we need to talk about, of course, is Cloak and Dagger. We don't have the ability to run a sim on Cloak and Dagger. I'd have to bring this team into PvP. And Lord knows you can throw a log in the pond of PvP and hit about 22 Cloak and Daggers at once. But let's talk about Cloak and Dagger. And you'll see how it'll affect her too. Blackout, not subtle, potentially stealthy. This would cause Skittering Soul just like Null, and this would cause the Experiment. Plus, the Experiment protects you against the dementia portions of this. Here, under Casting Shadows, again, just ranged. Not psychic or anything like that. Ranged and ranged. They're stealthy, but they're not subtle. So again, this would cause a lot of drains. Keeping her behind the wall means she's probably going to try to heal. But you might be able to even lock down Cloak and Dagger with that setup. And if you keep her behind a wall and you're just bleeding her dry off of a signpost and just assaulting her stamina, in all honesty, I would use these tactics against other people on the field and just kill Cloak and Dagger. You know, just isolate everybody else. Especially if you're running double rings like on the agent, isolate everybody else, kill Cloak and Dagger, and then just laugh while Dots and Drains just work their magic on the enemy team. So the Toxic Suit, I think, would be a key for it. And debuff items would be good. The Spirit Blade would be good because it does a signpost level drain. So you could have the Spirit Blade, the signpost, the experiment, the lamp for the magic, and then maybe another magic item that could go through the wall, like a twisted gif or a TOE to protect your own psychic behind. So there you go, guys. There's Team Angry Shield. I think it is viable. I'm calling this a prototype and untested. So to use Mythbusters, we're going to say possible. Not maybe plausible yet, but possible. So, if you like the video, you like the idea, give it a like. And if you try the team out, let me know what you think. But again, warning, don't try to do it on defense. I think it's too complicated. See you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video.